Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's topic. This is our job seeker call, and the topic for today is social media actually hurting your search? And I'm sure many of you are sitting there going, wait a minute, I thought I'm supposed to use social media as part of my search process, and you are. But there are things on social media, and this is feedback that I'm getting from hiring authorities, that could actually be hurting your chances. So let's talk about, how social media could actually be hurting rather than helping your job search. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn and other social media sites could be your hidden first interviewing process. And this is extremely important for you to know, and I know this for a fact, that the majority of employers, when they get your resume, one of the first steps that they're now doing is they're trying to find you on social media. So my question to you is, okay, if I went to your Facebook or your Twitter or your LinkedIn site, would I be impressed? Or would I go, whoops, not that person, I'm going to go to the next resume? So it's extremely important for you to all realize that whatever you have on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, this basically could be your hidden first interviewing process. And this really is your first impression. If they've read your resume and there's enough interest where they're going to now look you up on social media or they're going to Google your name and see what they find, that's a compliment because obviously something in your resume interested them. But then does that first impression improve, or do they lose that good first impression when they start, looking at your social media presence? Today we're going to discuss basically 3 areas when it comes to social media. Number 1 is, what does your social media presence say about you as a job seeker? How can you improve your social media presence so that it's an asset versus a liability? And lastly, what should you check about yourself today? Like when we get off this phone call, you're going to basically have some homework to do because it's important for all of you to know exactly what is out there about you that a hiring authority might find. Let's start with our topic number 1. What does your social media presence actually say about you? It again, is a normal process for hiring authorities to review your social media presence before they schedule a face-to-face interview. I have some employers that say they wait till actually they've interviewed somebody, but checking your social media sites, whether they do it before they interview you or they do it before they hire you, they're going to check your sites. That's just a given in today's marketplace. They review your online presence for the following reasons. Number 1, your information online reviews many facts about you that are not included on your resume. Okay? It is simple to review your business as well as your social personality. When they're looking at a resume, they have no idea what kind of personality you have. They have no idea what kind of interests you have. They have no idea of the circles that you travel in. And if I'm going to one of your social media sites and say I end up on your Facebook page, and all I see is pictures of you drinking and partying, and they're, and you might look like a fun person, but if I've got a very responsible position, and I really need somebody that is very career-oriented, those pictures may eliminate your chances of getting interviewed. And I keep hearing from job seekers all the time, nobody's reacting to my resume. I'm sending my resume. I've got a good resume. I don't know why anybody's calling me. Could it be that they're going on your social media sites and your resume screens you in and then your social media presence screens you out? You really have to think about what do you have on those sites. Pictures are obviously worth 1,000 words. You can tell them a lot about yourself. But if they go on your sites and they're looking at pictures, it tells them an awful lot about you, doesn't it? Positive or negative. They can also learn about the people in your network. Are you your circle of friends and the circle of people that you have in your professional network? Are they successful there? Are they above the level that you're at? Are you networking with people that are more, successful at higher levels than you are? Employers like to see that. They review your past work history. Obviously on LinkedIn, they can see everything you've done. Your posts and pictures provide insight into who you are, and what you believe in. And you might think, often you get, are you in favor of this? Are you a fan of this? Do you belong to this and that? If they see that you're playing games, continually during working hours, be assured they're going to screen you out. If your page is so loaded with all these different things that you're a fan of and believing in, they've got to wonder how much time you're spending on the social media sites versus self-improvement, versus working on your career. They can determine if you're tactful and cautious about the image you project. And I'm constantly warning teenagers, that you've got to realize that, what you put out there, and yes, there are some security, settings. You can, put settings where only certain people see certain things. But, you've got to be really cautious, and what are your friends, picking up and tagging you with? Are these things that you should not have on your profile? Many red flags can be uncovered on your profile, and obviously bad habits are also highlighted on social networking sites. What time of day are you working on the site? Are you putting way too much information? Are you complaining about past employers? Are you complaining about past managers? Is there anything negative? I have a lot of employers say, boy, you go on some of these sites and you can just tell when a person's negative or down. Have a total stranger look at your social media sites and give you some feedback. For those of you that are recent grads or younger, you're newer in the job market, have somebody that's 20 years older than you look at your social media sites, because chances are the person that's going to review your resume is not your age. And what will somebody, 10 or 15 or 20, years older than you think about your page? Because your peers might think things are fine. But, you want to really know what a potential hiring authority is going to feel about the site, the sites that you have up on yourself. Now, how can you improve your social media presence? How can you come across, as an expert? How can you come across as the person I need to pick up the phone and call? If social media is utilized properly, it can actually help employers and hiring authorities find you. And there's nothing better than for people to find you. And I want to tell you all a story, because I have a friend who's in his 70s, and he recently lost his job. And it was over, actually, he had used technology and thought he had hung up his phone, and he didn't. And he had said some inappropriate things, and as a result, lost his job. So those of you that have an iPhone and you think you've hung up on calls, you've got to be extremely, extremely cautious, because here's an exact example of somebody who had a great career. He's in his 70s but got an iPhone and didn't hang the phone up. So the person on the other end of the phone had the comments that he made under his breath on his recorded message. And so we've got to be really careful, don't we, with technology. But when you're talking about people finding you, it's interesting, because I was talking to this man recently, and he's 76 years old. And he was devastated because he had been in his career for a period of time, very successful. He's in sales. And it was interesting because he basically felt that his world had come to an end. And for a week, just didn't know what to do. He was embarrassed by what he said. He was very upset with himself and didn't know what to do because he had been fired. And he had to tell future employers that he had been fired. But, it's interesting. He has a strong social media presence. He's got a blog that he writes about sales. He's out there, and people know who he is. He's had 5 interviews in the last week, 5 interviews in 5 days, and he received 5 job offers. So for those of you on this call that sometimes get up and say, I'm in my 50s, nobody wants to hire people that are older, here's a man in his 70s that has been on 5 interviews, in fact, it's more than 5 interviews. With some companies, he went on 1 interview, and then he ended up having a second and a third interview the next day or later that day. So it shows that, if you're positioning yourself right on social media, if you're building a name for yourself, when you do end up in a job search, it can really help you, because what happened to him is he didn't even reach out there that much to other people. People are finding him because he had a very good reputation, and he's got some skill sets. Now, obviously, he's a salesperson, and he's good at selling. And so that's a skill set that you can sell other things. The interesting thing is 2 of the offers are in a field that he's never been in. And I found that interesting. I said, my goodness, you're 76 years old and you've got people approaching you on a field that you've never even tried. Are you willing to learn something totally new? And he goes, oh, absolutely. And very energetic, very positive person. And so, really, employers are looking for people that are positive, they're going to do a great job. And your social media presence can really help people find you. And that's the trick to this. You want them to find you, but once they find you, you want it to be a positive experience. Use SEO-focused words in your bio. And when I say use SEO-focused words, you might go, what is that? SEO is search engine optimization. Remember when we've talked about your resume and we tell you have to put keywords? You have to put keywords in your resume so that people find you. What are the words? If somebody's going to try to hire somebody like you, what are the words that they're going to Google, okay, to try to find somebody like you? I've had some job seekers that have actually gone and bought the domain name of what they do. like electrical engineer specialist. They actually bought that domain name and started a block under the job title that they wanted. Now, the problem with that is that's become a very popular thing to do. And you could have a job like human resource manager, and the domain name could cost you $7,000 because it's obviously a very valuable title. But if you've got an unusual job title that you're going after, have you ever thought about going to GoDaddy and getting the domain name so when somebody goes in and searches, for that particular job title, you pop up and you own the domain? You've got to think about, when you're doing your bio, when you're doing your, you've got your bios on LinkedIn, you've got, bios on Facebook, you've got bios on these different social media sites. Are you using those keywords? Are you using words that people are going to search? If I go to Google and I want to hire somebody like you, what words am I going to put in to find you? Okay, we're talking now about how do you position yourself on social media, where if I'm a hiring authority and I'm on there, trying to just scan around to see who's on the internet, and I don't want to use job boards because I don't want to get 500 resumes, how can I find you by putting certain words in? Those words have to be in your bio on your site. Tip 2 is show your personality and humor. So when I'm telling you that I don't want to see nothing but pictures of you drinking on your Facebook page, but I want to see a personality and I want to see that you've got a great sense of humor, because people hire who they like. So it's good to show your personality. And you've also got to look at the pictures you have on these sites. You don't want to look that it was taken in a studio and that you're so serious that they can't get any insight into your personality. The picture you've got right in front of you would be appropriate for a social media site. I mean, she looks like she's having fun, doesn't she? And yet it's not. There's no drink in her hand. There's no, nothing inappropriate about this picture. That's a perfect picture to put on your profile. It shows she's a happy person. And people are looking for positive people. If you've got this big old frown on your face or you look really stressed out, it's hurting your chances. Step 3, stress an innovative alternative to a best practices rule. Think about the normal things that people would do in your profession. Okay? So just think about, what job are you going after? And think about the normal way that people go about doing your job. And what could you come up with that's creative? What could you come up with that would be considered innovative, that you could write about? You could post it on other people's blogs, or you could put something on your profile that this is something that you truly believe in, and you're showing your creativity. You're showing that you're innovative. You're showing that if somebody hires you, you're not going to just stick to the status quo. You're going to come up with new ideas that would always benefit the employer that you're going to work for. So, try to think about innovative things that you can do, rather than the normal best practices that everybody follows in your particular profession. Write recommendations on somebody else's LinkedIn profile. It's easy. I have a lot of people asking, would you recommend me? Would you recommend me? But you got to understand something. When you write a recommendation on somebody else's LinkedIn profile, that also comes back to your profile. And in social media, the rule of social media is that you have to give more than you receive. And I know all of you want a job, and the last thing you want to do is hear me say you've got to give more than you receive. But if you put out a lot out there, you give people recommendations, you start a blog, you do things, okay, it's going to be amazing, and say 45 days from now, 60 days from now, what you get back in return. So initially, are you going to see immediate results from your social media presence? Usually not, but it's something you can build up, and now employers are going to find you. Remember, the job market is starting to turn around, and it's going to be hard to find good people. And even if you've been out of work for a while, say that you've been out of work for 6 months, 9 months, but when somebody finds you, because my next tip number 5 is find an industry-related blog, a relevant blog, and make comments often. Like, basically go on the internet and try to identify blogs that have to do with your profession. Who is writing blogs that have to do with the kind of job you're looking after or the industry that you're trying to be hired in? And then go on that blog and make credible comments often. Because if people see you're making comments, what they're going to do is they're going to look at your name and they're going to try to find you. And believe me, hiring authorities are going to use these techniques because it's going to get harder and harder and harder to find people. And if, say, you've been unemployed for 6 months and they say, what have you been doing? I basically decided that, after I left my last job, I knew that once I made a change, I would have no vacation time, no anything. I decided to take 90 days off because I've worked since I've been 16, or, again, you've got to give your own story. And in the last 90 days, what I started to do is I really started to read what's being written on industry-relevant blogs. I've been commenting. I've started my own blog to show my expertise. You know, if you've got a blog set up, the interesting thing is when you're in an interview, you can lead your hiring authority to your blog, and it sets you apart from every other candidate out there. And again, you don't have to post on a blog every single day, once or twice a week. Put something relevant. And again, find very established blogs, okay, and comment on those first and then start your own, because this gives you a presence on social media that employers are going to find. Step number 6 is provide free advice that would normally cost people money to obtain. Whatever you know, every one of you, whether you're a recent college grad, you've been in the job market 5 years, 10 years, those of you that have been in the job market 25 to 30 years, think of what you know that you could share with people that normally people might charge consulting fees to obtain the information. Because if you start providing free advice and people realize you know what you're talking about, they're going to tell other people about you, and again, that virtual presence becomes very, very strong, and people are going to want to, come to your site and link to your site and get to know more about you because they realize you really know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about Twitter entries where people are sitting on their front porch going, I'm sitting in my rocker looking out at the sun. Nobody cares about that. But what kind of entries can you put that show your expertise, that show people that you really know what you're talking about, you really know what you're doing? Tip number 7 is create original articles, videos, and pictures. It's so easy to post right now. It's so easy to get your own YouTube channel and postings. But again, these have to be, when I say original, I should have probably also put the word appropriate. If you're going to do things, you want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. You want to make sure that if I'm a hiring authority and I'm finding you on these different sites, that I'm impressed, that I think, wow, this person really knows what they're doing. And you don't need to pay a lot of money for this anymore, do you? It's so easy. Most cell phones can give you, really good video that you can post. Tip number 8, there's Amazon.com, and you can actually become an Amazon.com reviewer or rater. And this just shows that you've got expertise, that, they're basically providing you with information, and you're reviewing or you're rating, different things that they have on Amazon.com. Again, then it's linking back to you. It's showing that you're taking the time to do this type of thing. You're reading, you're active, you're on, you're rating something, you're reviewing something. It shows that you're not the typical person that doesn't take time to do this. It'll set you apart. You also want to answer every reply that you receive on Twitter. Anybody that replies, to what you're posting on Twitter, you want to answer, because remember, you never know who can open that door. Your job every day as a job seeker is to enhance your networking, and part of your networking is social media. And you never know when somebody that you interact with can open that door to that employer that's going to, give you that job offer that you've been waiting for a year, or that's going to make that connection for you. So you want to answer every reply that you receive on Twitter. Tip number 10 is create and publish a video to YouTube. YouTube is one of the most widely watched sites on the Internet, isn't it? I mean, and you're constantly seeing these videos that are going viral because of, some for good purposes, some for not good purposes, or reasons. But, again, create and publish a video to YouTube, but make it about your area of expertise. Publish something that if I'm an employer and somebody tells me you've got to see this video, and they show me a video of you, it's going to make me want to pick up the phone and set up an interview with you. What can you do that's going to impress me as a hiring authority? You want to publicly thank a client for their business in your social media stream. If you've been, think about the clients you had in your last place of employment, and just, it's interesting because if you reach out to them and thank them for their past business in your social media stream, they're going to want to know what you're currently doing. And again, remember, you're giving more than you're receiving. And people, people are just not good at giving compliments or saying thank you anymore. Just the fact that you're going to say thank you to somebody, sets you apart from most people. And when you do it as part of your social media stream, people see who your past clients were, don't they? Tip number 12 is write a blog post. Now, I've mentioned blogs indirectly a couple times already, today, but I want you to understand the power of having a blog that is career related. This is basically setting you apart. First, find the ones find the relevant blogs that people already have set up in your industry, and then take a little different slant and start your own. Still comment on theirs, but start your own. Start a blog and write a blog post. Because again, this is going to put you out as an expert, and people will find you. Join an online niche community. I'm sorry, I went ahead of myself. Tip 13 is post daily on channels, and each post should be different. So in other words, when you're utilizing, Twitter and LinkedIn and, all the different social media sites, you want to post daily on various sites, but you don't want to necessarily put the exact same post on every site. Now, often, if you're posting on LinkedIn, it ends up on your Twitter page if you have them linked, but try to give good, solid information and do some posts that are different than what you're seeing on the things that you're reading. Become an active reviewer on Yelp. Yelp is a site that basically, is evaluating, various services, various sites, various locations. And again, if you're a reviewer, you're a person that's not afraid to give an opinion. Who I want to use for an example, and she's not necessarily the best example, is Nancy Grace. And I'm not sure if you know who Nancy Grace is, but Nancy Grace has her own show, and she's extremely opinionated. Most recently, she was participating on Dancing with the Stars, and it was interesting seeing somebody who comes across as such an opinionated, just tough woman. All of a sudden she goes on a TV show, a reality show, and you realize that she had premature twins, and she's a mom, and she's got a soft side to her that nobody knows existed. But you know what? If she wasn't opinionated, she wouldn't have her own TV show. When you're a reviewer and you're reviewing things, you're giving your opinion, and hiring authorities like to hire people that give an opinion. Now, not necessarily as strong or as negatively as a Nancy Grace does, but, you don't want to be wishy-washy. If you're the type of person that people go, what do you want for lunch, and you can't make a decision, or, what color do you, there's no decision-making, happening, especially if you've been on a job for a while. When you're unemployed, it's just you're not making as many decisions as you are when you're employed. Be very aware of the fact that you've got to start making decisions. You've got to start giving positive opinions, because that's the type of person that employers want to hire. Tip number 15 is write another blog post. And I know I just mentioned that you should write a blog post. This is one of the best and the easiest ways that employers can find you, is by you posting things, because when people see a good post, what do? They recommend it. They send it to their friends. They, all of a sudden that viral thing starts happening, and that's what you have to, that's what you're going to strive for, is that viral growth of your network based on what you're putting on your social media sites. Join online communities, but don't go in selling. So don't join an online community, and you want to join a niche community. So say it's a community of IT professionals if you want an IT job, or it's a community of recent college grads that are all in a job search, or it's an engineering community or whatever, but you don't want to go and immediately posting your resume and selling, I need a job. Join an online niche community, and you can find them by, again, using Google or any of the search engines. Find these niche communities and start making comments. Start giving value. Remember the rule at the very beginning? I told you you're going to give more than you receive. So you want to give information. Give information so then you can start, it inevitably will come back to you, but you don't go in selling when you first join these groups. Attend a live tweet chat and participate. And again, it has to be an appropriate one. There's a lot of garbage on the Internet. There's a lot of garbage in social media. There's a lot of people that are not legal, that are doing things that you don't want to be involved in. But especially if it's career-related, try to attend a live tweet chat. And usually you're going to learn about these things when you're on these relevant blogs, when you're on these professional sites. They're going to let you know about different chats that are going on. Tip number 18, I know this is not exactly easy when you're not working to say thank you 10 times a day. And you're probably thinking, who should I say thank you to? You should say thank you to anybody and everybody that has an impact on your life. Just thank you for being part of my network. Thank you for the job referral. Thank you for the interview. You should be thanking people 10 times a day, because, again, this goes along those same lines of, you're going to give more than you receive at first. And if people realize that you're grateful for certain things, then all of a sudden better things start coming your way. Tip number 19, answer a question in a discussion on LinkedIn, but don't sell anything. If there is a discussion on LinkedIn and you've got some value, you don't want to, put your answer to your question and then put a link to your resume. You don't want to always do this. Just answer the question. Your name is going to be there. People can track you down. They can Google you and find you. But answer questions on discussions. And again, remember, I might be a hiring authority reading this, so answer it in a way that I'm going to want to talk to you. Tip number 20, video or audio interview an industry hero and post it to your website or post it to your blog. If you're trying to again, get back into a certain industry, you've been in an industry for a while, you can actually call people at very high levels and say that I have a blog in our industry and I wanted to interview people and I've always viewed you as an industry hero and I would love, to post an audio interview with you on my site. The interesting thing about this is often this industry hero that you're interviewing is going to open some doors for you because they're grateful because you're giving them exposure and you're interviewing them and you're posting it. So it's a real compliment to them. And you're giving them something. They're going to want to do something in return. Tip number 21, I think I've got this point across. Don't I write another blog post? You should be setting up a blog and posting to it at least 2 to 3 times a week minimum. Tip number 22 is use twitter.com/search and connect to 10 people daily who are in your industry. So write that down, twitter.com/search and connect to 10 people daily who are in your industry. You've got to keep building that network. You never know who's going to open a door. You can't keep talking to the same people day in and day out. You've got to expand that network. It could be people that, somebody could connect you with somebody and they could be 6 or 7 people down the road as far as your level of connections, but they still can open that door for you. So use twitter.com/search. Tip number 23 is add a relevant hashtag to your tweets. The pound symbol called a hashtag is used to mark keywords or topics in a tweet. And so any Twitter user can categorize or follow topics with hashtags. And again, if you don't understand how to do these things, if you go online and you could put down, hashtags, and you're going to get all types of information telling you exactly what a hashtag is and how it can benefit you. You've got to educate yourself, and you might be a baby boomer going, I don't want to tweet. I don't see any purpose in this. As a job seeker, especially if you've been out of work for a while, you've got to have an online presence. And again, I'm talking about what are you doing to have people find you? And if you're not comfortable with these things, find a teenager, tell them what you're trying to do, and let them walk you through it. Because this is their world. I saw a news story recently, and it was so interesting. They had a baby on a TV show, and the mother put a book in front of the baby, and the baby took their hand, and they were spreading their fingers out, and they were trying to make the picture in the book move because the baby had been playing with an iPad, and how you can make, the figures on an iPad move by, spreading out your fingers. And it was interesting because they had been showing the baby things on an iPad. And so when they put a book in front of the baby, and this was a baby that was just a few months old, the baby couldn't understand why the pictures didn't move in the book. Isn't that an interesting, I thought, oh my gosh, that little baby's reality is an iPad, not a book. And again, if you're a baby boomer, if you've been out here for, 20, 30 years and you don't really understand social media, you really do need to find somebody who's comfortable with it. You don't have to go crazy with this, but employers want to know you have a presence. You've got to get people that know you to recommend you. You've got to be recommending other people. It will give you a presence online that employers can find. And so they want you to have an online presence. If nothing else, make sure you've got a strong LinkedIn profile up. Tip number 24 is ask questions and respond to answers whenever you can. If you're asking questions as a part of your blog or a part of one of your social media sites, and people are giving you answers, make sure you respond to them. Because again, that presence, that exchange back and forth, will help people find you. Tip number 25 is add your social media profile links to your email signature. Let people know how to find you. You've got to make it easier for you to find you. But remember, if you're going to have them find you, make sure if I find you that I'm not going to screen you out. So the first thing you do before you add, the social media profile links to your email signature is you make sure that your sites are appropriate. That as a hiring authority, if I go to your sites, I'm going to hire you. Now, what should you check about yourself today? To get your social media presence in order, start out by typing your name in Google and just see what results you obtain. And then you want to go to the following sites, and you want to really find out, what's posted about you, what kind of pictures, what kind of information is posted to you on these sites. And I need to check out all of it. You may say, well, I haven't put anything up there, but are you mentioned? Did somebody else mention you? Did somebody else videotape you and post something? It's estimated that at least 70% of hiring authorities today will go to your social media site to obtain information that they can't ask you. That, basically it's information that they wouldn't ask you. So as you review your sites, ask yourself a very important question. Would you hire you based on the information on social media about you? This is just one more step in the hiring process that has become the norm versus the exception, which is why you need to review your social media presence on a regular basis. Follow these tips, and your social media presence will help you, not hurt you, find a job. And I don't want you to be upset, those of you that are sitting there going, God, I just don't have that much out there on myself. I'd rather have that be your problem than for you to have all this nonsense out there, and now you have to figure out how you can clean up your social media presence. Those of you recent grads, people that have put a lot of fun things out there, make sure you're limiting what people can see. It's just too important, not to. Okay, let's see, this is from Bernadine. What if you only have that your friends can see your Facebook? You have to do that if you have inappropriate things, but what I've been told by some hiring authorities is they get very suspicious if they go to try to find you on Facebook and they can't find you. And so sometimes it's good to have a professional Facebook page and then a Facebook page that might be your personal Facebook page so that the employers can find you, and because they get a little suspicious, why have you limited them? What's on there that you don't want them to see? This is from Clifford. Is there some statistical data showing how often jobs are offered to bloggers? I don't believe there's any statistical data because, Clifford, it's worldwide. All I can tell you is that we're hearing more and more and more that when hiring authorities are finding people on the Internet, they're finding them through blogs more than anything else. It's their LinkedIn profile and their blogs. And so, even on your LinkedIn profile, you can lead people to your blogs. And so, I don't think there's any concrete statistics because it would be very hard to monitor something like this, especially since it's worldwide. All we know is that, I think I told the story in one of our recent calls. I was at an airport, and I was, on a plane, and I was talking to a gentleman who worked for Kellogg, and he was talking to me about, how he just could not believe what people were putting online, which led me to believe that, if a company like Kellogg is going, and looking online at what people are blogging or what they're putting on their profiles, I'm sure other people are doing the exact same thing. And everything is automated now. Everybody has most people have a presence online of some sort. You just have to know what your presence is. But are there exact statistics on that? I don't believe there are. Let's see here. Okay, this is from Clifford. I was recently mentioned in an editorial for a college speaking contest. How can I take advantage of this? I'm not able to have this put on my RSS feed for LinkedIn. I would just mention that you were mentioned in the editorial, and I would put a copy of the editorial, link to the editorial, and I would definitely let people know this because, the fact that you were mentioned in an editorial, you want to let that be known, Clifford, and if you can link them somehow, or get a portion, just get a small portion of the editorial, and I would definitely thank people, like make sure you go on all the sites of anybody that was, involved in getting you mentioned in that. Make sure that you're thanking all of them too, because that also needs, people need to know that. And when they see that you're, that you're thanking them, again, it gives you more exposure. Let's see. What does Klout do? What programs do you recommend for managing your tweets? I'm not familiar with Klout. Let me look that up. K-L-O-U-T. I will write that down, and in a future call, I will let you know what that does. That is not something that I'm aware of, so I have no idea what Klout does, Krista. And again, when it comes to me, when it comes to how do you manage, all these social media sites, I think that what you need to do is you need to have a presence on, definitely LinkedIn. Most of you have a Facebook page. You should be on, on Twitter. And, again, you have to limit the amount of time you're spending on these. I don't want you to think for a minute that now I'm telling you to do nothing but go on all these social media sites and do this continually. I'm not telling you that, but when you're managing your social media presence, you want to make sure that it's consistent and that it's always showing you as an expert, as somebody that I'm going to want to learn more from and basically want to reach out to. My Facebook page is the same as my LinkedIn page as a professional headshot and my resume. Should I post a more fun photo at Facebook, and do I really need to tweet? Who has time? I agree with you, Sandy, and I think LinkedIn is much more important than all of them. I probably would have a different picture on my Facebook page, just a picture showing a little bit more of my personality, not silly, but I don't know that I would have the same professional, posting on both. You want something a little softer, a little more showing your personality on Facebook than you do on LinkedIn. You don't have to tweet, but there's ways through Twitter that you can find people in certain professions. There's search functions in Twitter. So don't just think of Twitter as a place where you only have to go there and post. And your post doesn't have to be, I'm sitting on a porch looking out at the moon. You can use different functions in Twitter, to locate other people in your industry as well as locate job postings. So that's why you want to use it. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I've been a contributing blogger to an organization in my industry, and they just offered me a job. Wow. Isn't that? Boy, there's proof right there. Question. What do you think of blocking people on LinkedIn and Facebook? This is from Jennifer. I work in a competitive industry and consult while I job hop. Another consultant saw that I was blogging for a company, and they approached the company about blogging, taking my business. Grr. Do you believe it's okay to block people on social media who may have not so nice motives? Yes, I do. I don't accept all invitations, and I have a lot of my competitors constantly wanting to network with me just because they want to take advantage of my network. So do I think it's okay to block people? I do, Jennifer. Again, you're going to give a lot to a lot of people, but, like in this particular instance, you've got somebody who is, in your same profession, taking your business away from you. So would I block people like that? The answer is absolutely yes. Let's see. Jennifer just put down Clout measures, Klout, measures your reputation across all your social media channels. Thank you, Jennifer. I did not know that. So here's some information here for you. Obviously, this site, Klout.com, measures your reputation across all your social media channels. So what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what, I'll do this for all of you. I'm going to do this on myself when I get off the phone and basically see what it does. And I'll give you, what I learned by doing that. Okay, I just had a second round of interviews, email or written thank you notes. Or is it okay to contact someone I met with from the first round who wasn't in the second round before I get an offer or after? Thank you notes as soon as you possibly can, and I believe that you can email them thanking them for their time, but you basically either deliver or mail a handwritten thank you note because that really sets you apart. Everybody is emailing, and emailing is easy, and it's cheap, and it's fast. That's why you want to do it initially, but then you also want to send, a handwritten thank you note, because in the handwritten thank you note you want to say specific things that went on in that interview, that I'm confident I can do the job. I'm very interested. Thank you. I look forward to possibly becoming a member of your team. What is our next step? So I think it's really important that they're emailed, but they're also handwritten. Should you let every reference know ahead of time before they get a reference check call? Yes. And the reason you need to do this is because you're probably interviewing, with many different kinds of opportunities. And so maybe you went off. I'm going to use the example of the 76-year-old man I talked about at the beginning. He's looking at some jobs on things he's never done, never done in his life. So if he gives references and they call, people are probably going to talk about the career that he had for a number of years. They're not going to talk about just his sales ability. And what he needs to do now is tell them, this is the job I'm going for. I'm using you as a reference. If you get a call from this company and this, anybody from this company, here's a copy of the job description that I'm applying for. I'd greatly appreciate if you could really emphasize and let your references know what you want them to emphasize. References really appreciate that because now they have direction. So, you definitely want to do that. Let's see. Hold on a second here. Okay. Somebody is asking me now if, this is from Clifford, if having more than one account can raise red flags. Well, it'll only raise red flags if there's not, consistent information on your site. You don't want to come across as one person on one site and another person on a total different site. Let's see. How can you check other social media sites for your name or any information about you if you did not have an account with them? Well, obviously this Klout, K-L-O-U-T, seems to be the answer, that you can go to this Klout. And again, I've never been here, so I don't know. But from what Jennifer just told us, I think you can go there and really see your social media presence. So I'm going to try this. I've never done it, but obviously that's the way you can get that done. Okay, I'm getting a bunch of thank you notes now. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Okay, and you're very welcome. I'm glad that you enjoyed this. Let's see, this is from Bernadine. Can you also follow up with a phone call to see where your status is for the position, even a week or so later? You never want to call Bernadine and ask a status report, because who is that about? If you're a hiring authority and I interviewed with you and I'm calling you, Bernadine, and I say, this is Bernadine, I really appreciated the interview we had. I'm just calling to get a status or an update to see if there's a possibility of a next interview, or if you're interested, whatever. That's all about me. I want this. I need that. I need a status report. The call you want to make, Bernadine, is, hi, this is Bernadine. I really appreciated the interview that we had a week or so ago. I'm still very confident I can do the job. I'm extremely interested. I thought of some information that did not come up in the interview that I would love to share with you that I know would benefit you. And it's, really important information for me to share. What would be the best time to contact you? Offer me something that's going to make me want to call you back. Don't just call me for a status report, because that's about you and it's not about me. And if I wanted to give you a status report, I would have called you already. Basically, employers hate those calls. Let's see. Hey, I wanted to know, will we be able to see your previous videos? And can you give me your name? Okay. All the calls that we've done are posted in our career portal. So when you go back into the career portal, all these calls are posted in the career portal. They're either under the 16-step process or they're in the library. And so, you definitely want to go to the career portal. And for any of you that are stuck, that can't find a job, please log into the career portal and start with Prepare. We've got the job search, sorted into 3 phases: Prepare, Search and Connect, and Interview. There's 6 steps under Prepare. There's 5 under Search and Connect, and there's 5 under Interview. You complete those 16 steps. You do everything we tell you to do. Everything we tell you to do. And I can tell you, Rashish, you're going to find a job, because we're going to kickstart your job search. The only reason I don't give out my name is because I'm actually contracted by the recruiting firm who gave you this career portal. And if you want to communicate with me, okay, all you have to do is send information to support at Career Support Network. If you've got, if you've got questions or whatever, but who I am is really not important. It's the information I'm sharing with all of you, and again, I'm on this call, every single week. And if you've got questions or that, you can always send it to our support line. That's support at Career Support Network. Clifford, can you repeat the site that you can check yourself? Yes, it's K-L-O-U-T. I've never heard of it, Clifford. Jennifer just, told us what it is. Let's see. There's some more information on Klout. Klout gives you a score. It evaluates how active you are on social media channels and is supposed to measure your social media reputation. Anything is X range is good, and so on. Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer is just a wealth of information, so Jennifer, I appreciate that. So what Jennifer is saying is that Klout gives you a score, and it evaluates how active you are on social media channels, and it's supposed to measure your social media reputation. So anytime you have an X in front of something, that range is good. Okay. I don't understand the follow-up thank yous that you just mentioned. Most employers seem too busy. Let's see. Try to, in every phone face-to-face interaction, make the most of, if my knowledge, interest, and enthusiasm. Following up seems face and contrived. I am completely wrong on this. Okay. I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying. Let me read this again. I don't understand the follow-up thank yous that you just mentioned. Most employers seem too busy. Try to, in every phone or face-to-face interaction, make the most of it, my knowledge, interest, and enthusiasm. Following up seems face and contrived. Maybe that's supposed to be false and contrived. Am I completely wrong on this? You are completely wrong, because if you don't follow up with me, Rebecca, I don't know that you're interested. And if your follow-up is false and contrived, then I'm going to think it's false and contrived. But if you sincerely are following up with me and you're showing me why it benefits me to talk to you, that's not false and contrived at all. I'm excited to talk to you. Let's see. Thank you so much for all the information. It has been very helpful. This is for Bernadette. Well, thank you, Bernadine. And also, I really want to thank Jennifer for the information. How many recommendations should I have on LinkedIn? As many as possible, Michael. Employers love recommendation. They love recommendations, so the more the merrier. The more recommendations you can get from people, the better it is, and the more recommendations you can make. So as many as possible is my answer. I keep getting a bunch of thank you notes. You're very welcome, everybody. And Jennifer, one more, shout out to you. I really greatly appreciate all the information you gave us on Clout because I didn't know that. So you just taught me something. So I will definitely become more well-versed in that, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with me. This is from Michael. Thank you. Very nicely done. You're welcome. And again, I just want you to think of every way possible to help your job search. So, this call and the handout will be posted in our career portal usually within 3 to 5 days. Clout is not CL. It's not Clout. Clifford, it's C-L-O-U-T. I mean, not C, K, K-L-O-U-T. So K-L-O-U-T. And again, if you need to, reach us for any reason, the email address is support@careersupportnetwork.com. That's the support line because I have a couple of you asking me for that right now. So it's support@careersupportnetwork.com. One more time, the spelling. K as in kite, L as in Larry, O as in orange, U as in umbrella, T as in Tom. Clout. All right, everybody, we're ending a few minutes early, but there are no more questions. I really want to thank all of you for joining me. I know we're coming into the holiday season. Guys, get out of your house. Go to every function, everything you can possibly get out there. Don't stay home because you're not working. Have your little resume cards with you. You never know who you're going to run into or who knows somebody. So don't stay home because you're upset. And if they ask you, what are you doing? Don't say, I'm still looking for a job. I'm a free agent on the open job market. And I'm really excited about this. I'm really looking, for people. I'm really looking for, referrals. Let's see, I've got one more question here from Krista. What is the perception when you recommend somebody and that person turns around and recommends you on LinkedIn? Happens all the time. As long as the referral is not fluffy, as long as the recommendation is giving some specifics, there's nothing wrong with that. It happens every day on LinkedIn. And obviously if somebody recommends you and then they ask if you'd recommend them, there is nothing wrong with that. So it's not considered insincere or anything as long as the recommendation is full of facts, not fiction. It's not fluffy. And so you definitely, want to do that. Okay, and if those of you, if you don't know how to get back to the career portal, now I'm getting people asking me how to get back to our career portal. If you don't know how to get back into the career portal to do the 16-step process, what you want to do is you want to email us at careersupportnetwork.com. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day. And I really appreciate you joining me on the call. And I'm recording this right before Thanksgiving holidays. So if we don't have a call before Thanksgiving, I'm not sure if we do or not. If we don't, I hope you all have a great holiday. And remember, make plans. Get out there. Go to parades. Go to events. Go to anything you can to mingle with people. And take your resume cards with you. Somebody's asked me what a resume card is. You can get the resume cards free in the career portal. You pay for shipping and handling, but you can get 100 resume cards free. It's like a mini resume. It's like a business card that you can hand out, and you all should have those. So definitely go into the career portal and order those resume cards. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.